What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Footy Review. We are about talking footy. Last night was the CONCACAF Nations League final featuring the classic CONCACAF matchup of USA versus Mexico. This game was an instant classic. Team USA pulls out a dramatic 3-2 overtime win in classic CONCACAF fashion. This game had everything. Controversial VAR and referee decisions, heated moments between the players, projectiles being thrown from the fans. Let's get right in. This was the first ever edition of the CONCACAF Nations League. This game was a big opportunity for a young Team USA to get a win over Mexico in a big game and establish some dominance and credibility in CONCACAF. This was especially important because of how young and new this Team USA side is. We wanted to get out early and get a win to set the tone for the CONCACAF moving forward, especially with World Cup qualifiers coming up. And most importantly, I think the young players over these two games in the CONCACAF Nations League have really learned what it means to play in CONCACAF, and that's going to be an invaluable learning experience for them. All right, let's dive right into it. We're going to talk about the game in 4 separate sections: lineups, turning points, set pieces, and moving forward. Moving forward as in what is the big picture for Team USA after this competition. All right, so let's get into number 1, lineups. So both teams were coming off unconvincing wins in the semifinal. Team USA had beat Honduras 1-0 with a late goal by Jordan Pefok, and Mexico went all the way to penalties with Costa Rica. Let's compare lineups for both games for both teams. Team USA, there was a change in formation. In the semifinal versus Honduras, Greg Berhalter went with a 4-3-3. Zach Steffen in net. Anthony Robinson, John Brooks, Mark McKenzie, and Serginho Dest formed the back line. Sebastian Letget, Jackson Ewell, Weston McKennie formed the midfield 3, and Pulisic, Josh Sargent, and Gio Reyna up top. With this formation of only 3 people in the middle, it seemed at times like our midfield was non-existent. At many points throughout the game, when Honduras recovered possession, they were able to bypass our entire midfield with 1 or 2 passes, and then they were breaking directly onto our back line. So in order to fix this problem in the midfield, Greg Berhalter switched to a 3-4-3 formation for the final. Mark McKenzie and John Brooks start again with the addition of Tim Ream in the back line. Also back in the squad, DeAndre Yedlin as a right fullback. DeAndre Yedlin is a guy that has a lot of experience with the national team. And he also played in the Brazil World Cup where United States, I think, beat a lot of expectations going into that tournament. Keep moving across that back line. We got Weston McKennie, Kellen Acosta, and Serginho Dest. I personally like the inclusion of Kellen Acosta because he is more of a defensive-minded midfielder. He's not afraid to get stuck in, put in some good challenges, and put in the work to solidify the midfield. I think his pairing with Weston McKennie in the middle would allow Weston McKennie a little bit more license to move forward because he knows he has such a defensive-minded partner. And then up top, we close out with the same front 3 that we played in the semifinal: Gio Reyna, Josh Sargent, and Christian Pulisic. If you watch the semifinal, you know that Jordan Pefok came in late in the game and got a winner for Team USA. I thought he would get the start in the final, but it looks like Greg Berhalter decided to stay with Josh Sargent. I think part of it has to do with the work rate that Josh Sargent gives you, not only going forward, but also on the defensive side of the game. If he can keep up the high work rate and start finishing the chances that come to him on the attack, he'll be a great striker for USA. I think also by switching to a 3-4-3 and by bringing DeAndre Yedlin into the game, he allowed the fullbacks, Serginho Dest and DeAndre Yedlin, to have license to go up the field because they had more cover with the back 3 and the 2 central midfielders. And then obviously Zach Steffen started in net. I will note there was a goalkeeper switch in the middle of the game due to injury, and the backup goalie, Ethan Horvath, what a moment for him. Okay, and then changes in the Mexico lineup from the semifinal. Mexico played a 3-4-3 formation in both games. Most of the changes they made were simply personnel changes. Notably, Henry Martin did not start as their number 9. El Chucky Lozano slides in a more false 9 position. I think by sliding him in this false 9 position, the coach Tata Martino was looking for more link-up play with midfielders and wingers. And of course, we all know that Chucky Lozano has the ability to be clinical on the attack. Also, Mexico is notably still struggling to find goals since the injury of Raul Jimenez. That's probably why Tata Martino moved Chucky Lozano from the wing into the middle and also added Jesus Corona into the mix in the lineup. And another big thing I noticed in this game, Mexican veteran player Andres Guardado did not start the game next to Hector Herrera like he did in the semifinal. Okay, so that's lineups. Now we're going to go through turning points and balance of play. As I mentioned before, this game had everything. So the game kicks off and I'm settling into my couch, ready to watch this exciting Team USA performance, and within 1 minute, we go down 1-0. Bad pass from Mark McKenzie out the back, intercepted by Jesus Corona, and smash pack Zach Steffen. So at this point, I'm thinking we've learned nothing from the first game. But I'm also thinking this is going to be a huge test of character. Can the United States not crumble under the pressure? Can they fight back, stay in the game, get the equalizer, and keep the game alive? After about 15-20 minutes of play, I think the United States started to grow into the game, gain some confidence, start putting together some passing play. But just as I think the nerves are settling down for Team USA, Mexico gets a corner, they play it short, Hector Herrera crosses it to the box to Hector Moreno, the center back, and he scores. And I'm thinking 2-0 down against Mexico in the final. Is this game over? But wait, the VAR gods gave Team USA a lifeline. It's like Hector Moreno was just offside as the cross came in, so the game stayed at 1-0. And if that wasn't the break that the USA needed, I don't know what was. Immediately after this, the USA gets a corner on the Mexican side. Christian Pulisic takes the corner. Weston McKennie up in the air for the header. Off the post, and after a couple of lucky and good bounces for Team USA in the box, Gio Reyna slides ones in past Ochoa, tie game 1-1. Side note, how much of an aerial threat is Weston McKennie? He really emerged in this tournament constantly as a menace on set pieces for USA across the board. After this goal, the game kind of evens out a little bit. Notably, Chucky Lozano had a one-on-one break against Zach Steffen, which he saves in heroic fashion in the 42nd minute. That was critical to keep the game even going into halftime. In the second half, Zach Steffen, our goalie, goes down in the 62nd minute with a non-contact injury. I don't know if it's just me, but every time I see a player go down with a non-contact injury, I get nervous. This usually means that something is pretty wrong and the player knows they can't continue even though they were never hit or anything. So hopefully no structural damage or serious injury for Zach Steffen. Enter Ethan Horvath, who is about to have the greatest night of his life. Diego Lainez from Mexico subs in around the 76th minute and bangs in a goal, cutting into the box on his left foot to the near post. Not much Ethan Horvath can do in my opinion. Some people will say he got beat at the near post, but I think the shot was pretty much from point blank range. There was nothing much for the goalie to do. The United States defense, however, has to be better at shutting down those shots. So at this point, it's 2-1 Mexico, and I'm thinking, man, late goal by Mexico. I don't know if Team USA can respond. But 2 minutes after, another corner for USA. Gio Reyna on the corner. Weston McKennie, again, rising above all the Mexican defenders, making contact with his head. The ball goes in the goal. 2-2. Team USA is really fighting to stay in this game. And I think this shows a huge level of maturity. So we're going into extra time now. In the 107th minute, Christian Pulisic is brought down in the box by Gallardo and Carlos Salcido. My initial thought was no foul. I think Mexican supporters will argue that it was a soft penalty, and I don't necessarily disagree with them. Anyway, VAR looks at it and determines that it is a penalty. At that point, Pulisic, Captain America, steps up, convincing penalty kick, top 90. And as the United States players go to celebrate in the corner with the fans, you see, the Mexican fans mostly throwing cups, bottles at Team USA. All I can say is welcome to CONCACAF. This is what you signed up for. And if you didn't know what playing for Team USA is about, that's exactly what it is. Due to the diversity of the population in America, the United States doesn't really have home games. Even when we're playing on home soil, it seems like the other team, no matter who we're playing against, has the same amount, if not more fans than the United States does. In the 118th minute, in the closing minutes of the game, Mexico gets a handball penalty. The penalty was called against Mark McKenzie. It was an unlucky decision for Mark, in my opinion. He couldn't really do much about it. His hands were pretty tight to his body, and the ball was redirected towards him, like from pretty close range. I don't really know what the refs expect him to do, but this has been a problem with soccer all season long. What is even a handball anymore? We're going to have to figure that out and have like a consistent rule. But anyways, I wasn't that mad about it because I still thought the penalty decision earlier for the United States was a little bit soft. Was this kind of a makeup call from the referee for the Mexican fans? Only he knows that. But anyway, Guardado steps up to take the penalty. He tries to go low to his left side. Ethan Horvath with a miraculous penalty save to win the game for Team USA. It has to be said that VAR and refereeing played a huge role in this game. Most soccer fans don't like for the referee and VAR to be the determining factor in any game. Do you think that the refs correctly use VAR in this game? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Okay, let's get into number 3, set pieces. As I mentioned before, Weston McKennie emerged as an aerial threat for Team USA. A lot of the games in CONCACAF are not going to be like the extremely high quality, free-flowing games that you see in Europe. There's a lot of ugly, choppy games in the CONCACAF competition. The United States has to learn that set pieces can be a valuable tool to get a win in a game where the other team is not letting you play your style of soccer. In the CONCACAF, whenever teams can't keep up with the passing play, you see a lot of fouls, a lot of hacking. You need to learn to use that to your advantage if you feel like you're not able to play your A game due to the defensive style of the opponent. However, we also need to learn how to defend set pieces. The offside goal that got chopped off from Mexico did come from a short set piece. So in the same way that set pieces can help you, it can also hurt you. I think that would be a critical point for Greg Berhalter to nail in going forward, especially going into the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers. Okay, so now moving forward after this tournament, Team USA has learned a lot from these two games. This can be a benchmark performance for this young American team to refer back to. This new generation of American players got a taste of what it feels like to play against our arch rivals in the CONCACAF in a highly emotional, highly competitive game against Mexico with everything on the line. I also noticed that you see a lot of veterans on the Mexico team, and you see a lot of young, new, promising players on the United States team. Could this be a long-term turning point in the CONCACAF? Is the United States generation resurgent, and is the Mexico team in decline? Obviously, Mexico has a lot of young players. I'm just saying that it seems like Mexico is still relying on a lot of their veterans, while the United States has a much more forward-thinking vision for the future. Like I mentioned earlier, this was a huge game for Team USA to learn that CONCACAF is all about these choppy, gritty games. The fans are going to be so passionate, and I think particularly we learned against Honduras. A lot of these smaller teams that have less money and resources invested into their football teams, they're not scared to get stuck in a game and make it ugly and choppy to keep the United States from playing. Also moving forward, has a star been born in Ethan Horvath? Has Greg Berhalter found a formation that works for Team USA? I think this was a promising performance moving forward, and going into the World Cup qualifiers, we have to keep putting together performances like this, getting wins out even when they're not easy games. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Let us know what are your thoughts on the game in the comments below. Do you like this CONCACAF Team USA content? You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Footy Review 1. And if you like this video, please share and subscribe. Also hit that notification bell so you always know when we're posting new videos. All right, everybody, we'll see you guys next time. Go Team USA.